Hi everyone, and welcome to our second Met Talk series, and this one will be on leadership journeys. We have 6 wonderful speakers today, and our first guest is Kerry Draghi, who is our previous Welfare and Equity Officer.
Hi everybody, my name is Kerry Draghi, and I'm here today to talk to you about what inclusive leadership means to me. I would like to start my speech by saying that I believe that the idea of leadership in our society is too often tied up in power imbalances and controlling others, especially when we look at our world politics. Of course, I by no means wish to imply that I am a perfect person or leader, but I do believe that the kind of leader I strive to be is one who speaks up for others and follows her heart, even at times when it seems easier to stay silent. I do not wish to be or see a leader who expects others to blindly follow or always wants to be the loudest person in the room, because the freedom to ask questions and express yourself is what makes up a democracy. The kind of leader I strive to be in my role at the Students' Union and as president of the LGBT Society is one who tries her best to ensure that everyone is included and has their voices heard. Having everybody's voices heard doesn't mean that I don't encounter people I disagree with. In fact, I've often met people who disagree with me on issues of feminism and power. However, I believe that a strong and emotionally mature person meets such disagreements with compassion and respect for others. I have also learned that not every battle is worth getting my hands bloody for, and I am grateful to the Students' Union to have given me a platform where I am able to openly discuss and campaign for important social issues such as LGBT, women's and disability rights, climate justice, sexual health, and awareness for sexual education and harassment. It is a privilege to have the opportunities to speak on and run campaigns on topics that are important to me and affect our lives. Being at this university and meeting so many different people has helped me to see beyond my own experiences, and it incentivizes me to understand people whose perspectives and backgrounds are very different from my own, something I'm still learning. It hasn't been easy, as I've learned that there are people who still feel threatened by a young woman's voice. However, I have learned how to be resilient and vocal, that it is far better to speak up for what is right, even if your voice shakes, and you feel that it's easier to stay passive against oppression. I would like to end this speech with 2 quotes. The first is by Albert Camus and describes my vision for inclusive leadership. Do not walk behind me, I may not lead. Do not walk in front of me, I will not follow. Instead, walk beside me and be my friend. Finally, a quote by the feminist Audre Lorde. My silences have not protected me. Your silences will not protect you. I hope that if you take anything from me, it is how vital it is to stand up for yourself and others. Thank you for listening, and to Tamika for organising this event.
Thank you very much, Kerry. That was a very inspirational talk from our Equity and Welfare and
LGBT officer.
Okay. Okay, so next talk up today is Eddie Rowley. He is our Student Voice Coordinator. Did I get that right?
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to see you here. Thank you for the invitation to speak, Tamika. So Tamika asked me if I could say a few words with regards to leadership and empowerment and leadership strategies. So what I actually want to do is hopefully go one better than that. And I want to introduce all of you to a leadership opportunity which is available to every single London Met student in the next month or 2. Okay? At London Met Students' Union, we don't believe that we make leaders or we teach leadership. What we think is everyone here is a leader, but what we can do is reveal the leadership in you. Everyone is a leader, but sometimes we can help you to reveal that leadership. And the Students' Union leadership election is a really good way for you to develop and reveal your leadership skills. The Students' Union is run by a team of full-time and part-time student union officers, just like you. Tamika is one, Kerry is another. The Student Union is an independent organisation there to represent London Met students. As a student union officer, you will take a senior leadership role with a high level of responsibility. You'll become a director of the company. You'll have responsibility for finance, for the sustainability of the organisation, and to effectively represent London Met students. The skills you can develop from being a student union leadership election candidate are such as public speaking skills, organisation skills, budget handling skills, campaigning skills, event organising, decision making, and attention to detail skills, amongst others. Being a candidate in our leaders election, that involves putting yourself out there, getting outside your comfort zone. It involves developing these skills, and whether or not you would be elected to one of the positions, just being a candidate is a fantastic way to reveal the leadership in you and to develop leadership skills. It also has really good practical benefits. So when you're applying for that job and they say, what experience do you have of project management? What experience do you have of working as a team? What experience do you have of working within a budget? Being a candidate in our leaders election and being elected, if you were to be elected, is a practical, genuine, real-life example of which you can use and articulate for employability and for other things in your lives going forward. Okay? So I want each and every one of you to strongly consider putting your name forward as a candidate in our leaders election. In January, you'll be seeing a lot of publicity around the campuses around this, and the deadline for your application will be late January. Okay, so you don't need to do anything now. Get your deadlines out the way, enjoy the Christmas holidays, but then in the new year, I want every one of you to strongly consider this option. Okay? Being at university is probably something you'll only do once in your life. So this opportunity to become a student union leader is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And it's free and it's accessible to all of you. So I really want you to all to think about this. I'm sure Tamika would be happy to have a chat with any of you outside of this session, and Tamika can fill you in on some of her experiences and what perhaps you've learned over the last year and a half as a student union officer. We have a QR code there, so you can zap that with your phone, bookmark it. There's a little sign-up leaders mailing list, which just takes 2 minutes to sign up. Once you zap the QR code, the instructions will be on the screen. So get your application, sign up for the mailing list, and then get your applications in for the leaders election. If that's something you don't want to do, that's okay, it's voluntary, but perhaps you've got a friend, someone on your course, someone you know, who you reckon, yeah, this is up their street, yeah? So maybe have a chat with them if you're not keen on it yourself, because as I say, it is optional. Okay, so way of conclusion, I want to thank Tamika for the hard work you've put in organising this event. Jaden and other colleagues who've contributed to it. I wish you all well, and I hope to see you participating in our leaders election in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie, for that. That was very informative. I'm just going to speak on my experiences quickly. It feels relevant after Eddie's speech. So I ran for the students' elections in 2022, I think it was. I never saw myself as a leader at first, when I first started. And our dear colleague over here, Eddie, he reached out to me and says, I think you'll really be good. You're a really good student rep. You speak very well and you can articulate yourself and, you know, you can make changes. So I went for it. I didn't think I was going to win, but I did.
And I got so much experience out of that. I got to campaign, I got to know about writing manifestos, I felt like a mini MP, and it was just a really overall great experience. And being in the student union has taught me so many invaluable skills that I probably wouldn't have got anywhere else. So I would definitely encourage all students to come and be a leader. Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have Kelly Cooper, our Dean from Social Sciences and Professions.
I'm going to attempt to sit somewhere where I won't blind myself. There we go. So thank you for inviting me, Tamika, and thank you for asking me to talk to you about my leadership journey. So I've written myself some notes so that I don't talk your ears off. But I grew up in a working class family in the East End of London. I grew up on a council estate. So I'm not what you would see as the typical dean. You know, that if you pictured what a typical dean would be, it's probably not me. My parents are Irish immigrants. They weren't afforded the luxury to finish school, let alone go to university. So I was the first in my family to go to uni. I'm dyslexic and I don't even have an English GCSE. And so all of those things are not what you would expect from a dean. But here I am in a very senior role in the university, and I have a career of amazing successes behind me. But when Tamika first asked me to talk to you today, I sort of tracked backwards in my career to think about where my leadership journey started. And it didn't really start in a particular role. It started much earlier than this. So coming from a working class family with all the complexities of growing up in poverty, you learn differently. So you learn to build a repertoire of skills to navigate the world. You learn to read situations and people differently than others do. You're resourceful, you look beneath the surface, you create, you graft really hard. You create, you have a moral code which values people, loyalty, hard work and community. And these skills and experiences have really afforded me well throughout my career. And at the time, I might not have appreciated them for what they were, but actually looking back now, they've given me a particular skill set that's really treated me well throughout my career. My first proper job, however, was at Imperial College, and that was as far removed from East London as you could imagine. The very first person that I met shook my hand. They had a curly moustache and a monocle, shook my hand and said, "How do you do?" And I absolutely froze. I didn't know how to respond. What's the response to "how do you do"? Is it "how do you do" back? Is it "I'm fine"? I knew it wasn't "all right, mate." I didn't know what it was. And so I kind of felt like I was a fish out of water, that I didn't quite fit in there. And I changed the way that I spoke. I tried to speak with a bit more of a clipped accent. I tried not to say "in it." I tried to pronounce my H's. I still struggle with that. And I felt that if I talked differently, I'd be seen as a professional. And so that stayed with me for quite a few years. I sort of felt I needed to mould myself to fit into the environment. But it was at Imperial that I decided I wanted to go to uni, and a little bit like our previous speaker, I knew I wasn't done. There was more to come, and this wasn't it for me. But as the first person in my family to go to uni, I had no reference point. I had nobody to ask, is this the right thing for me? Is this worth taking the risk? I'd have to fight that voice inside my head that told me it was too big a risk, that I was getting above my station, who do you think you are, sort of thing. And I'd have to listen to friends tell me that, I don't know why you're going to uni, you're not going to get a better job anyway. And so it was really hard. The biggest thing for me about going to uni was I would have to take the risk of failing horribly. And that was big. I didn't fail at things, but I did. I did take the risk, and I came here to London Met, and I blossomed here. I had the most amazing tutors, and they saw in me potential way beyond I'd have ever given myself. And they saw something in me that I didn't believe was there. They helped me to translate the language of university. The first few weeks and months here, I felt like I was speaking a different language. I didn't know what they were talking about. We didn't talk like that in the East End of London. No one in my family used words like paradigm and all these other fancy words that it was like learning a second language. But doing my degree gave me a framework in which to hang my many thoughts on. It helped me make connections and explain things that I knew but couldn't explain before. I got the opportunity to meet people that I might not have met in my ordinary life. And I got to see other working class women standing up in front of the class and teaching me, and how wonderful they were. And it was partway through my degree that I stepped into my first leadership position. I became a head of department at Queen Mary University. I was 23 years old. I was a baby. And when I think back now, I kind of go, what was I thinking? That was 20 odd years ago now. But despite feeling really overwhelmed with the level of responsibility, I excelled in the role. I worked really hard and I had really high expectations. I helped to stabilise the team. I helped to eradicate some issues around disparities in pay, and I worked really hard to ensure that we were the best in the borough. You know, if I'm going to do a good job well, I'm going to do it well. I won an award for outstanding leadership, and I really learned to put a lot of what I'd learned at university into practice, and that was a really remarkable journey for me. I learned a lot of things as well. I was quite naive initially as a manager. I learned a lot about people. And people will always surprise you. And it was during my time at Queen Mary that my tutors asked me to come and teach here. And I said, no, thank you. I don't. Why would I want to do that? She said, no, come. I was doing my master's part-time. So I've done my degree part-time in the evenings for 4.5 years. I did my master's part-time in the evenings for 3 years. I didn't watch a lot of telly in them days. But I said no because I'm actually quite awkward. I don't like speaking in public, so I've probably chosen the wrong career. But again, they saw something in me that I hadn't seen. They saw the potential and the fact that I would be a good tutor. And I loved it. I loved being with the students, and that was the biggest joy in my career, is spending time with my students. And it was a privilege to be part of their journey and to see them unlocking their potential. I then came here. I've been here for about 15 years. I've been a senior lecturer, principal lecturer, head of subjects, a head of school, and now the dean. And I've worked my way up through those different positions. I brought to London Met all of those skills and experiences that I'd had in the early years, and I'd also harnessed in my previous careers. And my commitment to being excellent never changed. You know, so it transferred from working with children to working with adults, but that for me is still there, that commitment to excellence and to doing the best for my staff and students. So I brought all of that to London Met, but what I didn't bring to London Met was the need to clip my accent. I will drop my H's, and I occasionally say in it. I didn't bring the need to dress in a particular way to be taken seriously. And what London Met gave me was the opportunity to be authentically me. Yeah. So people outside of London Met, you can see them quite often when they say, oh, what do you do for a living? And I say, I'm the dean, kind of go, really? You've got loads of tattoos and you talk like that. And I love that. I mean, that for me is like, oh, okay, there you go. You've just had to question your stereotype of what success looks like, haven't you? But here I don't need to do that. I've never get a raised eyebrow. I get to be just me. So as you continue on your leadership journeys, I think it's important for you to remember that your experiences, including the extremely challenging ones, have already provided you with a wealth of leadership skills. And my advice to you going forward in your careers is don't clip your accents. Don't shape yourself into a stereotype of what society tells you is a successful leader and what that looks like. Be your unique self. Go out and disrupt the hell out of the status quo because you are already leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, for that inspiring talk. That was amazing, and I hope we all have something to learn from that. And our next speaker today is Professor Isaac Solinola. I think I pronounced that right.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So how do you match Kelly? Right. So I think I'll tell you a story about myself as well. I didn't grow up in the East End of London. I grew up in Nigeria, one of the most populous black nation on earth, and we're very proud people. But I grew up in a part of Nigeria where there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of challenges. I'm the first child in a group of, there are 6 of us in the family, so I'm the first child, so I get to see a lot of the challenges that my parents went through. But we're very, my parents, they didn't go to university. I was also the first person in the family to go to university. But my parents value education. They felt that if you're ever going to make a headway in life, you've got to be educated. And that's something that's very unique to Nigerians. I'm sure you'll see most Nigerians you're going to meet will probably have 4 or 5 degrees and things like that. Why? It's because it's been drummed into us that as you grow up, education is your way out of poverty. So I grew up in that sort of environment. I've always been very introspective person, read from my environment, try to make sense of what I'm going through. And I remember when I was very young, 6, 7, 8, and they would send me on an errand, and I'm coming back home, and I would just be overwhelmed by the poverty that I see around me, and I would just be crying for just no just cause. I'll just cry. That why is the world just the way it is, where some people will have and some people will not have, and some people will be able to do well and some people will not be able to do well, just because of how the environment they've been born in. And that's the sort of things that shaped me as I was growing up. And it gave me a resolve that as I grow, I've got to be focused. I've got to put all my attention into every opportunity that comes my way. And so I went to my primary school, a local primary school, but I excelled in my primary school education. Went to secondary school, and again I excelled. Went to university in the States, and I did very well. And I came out with a first class, and that was the first time I became aware of the power that my resolve and focus can give you. And when I came out with the first class, everybody around me began to say, you could get a scholarship, you could get this and all that and all that. And I said, really? And that made me to start looking for scholarship opportunities. And lo and behold, I went to do my master's in another state. And by the time I was doing my master's, I was lucky to get one of the prestigious Commonwealth scholarships to come and do a PhD at King's College London. And that was what brought me to the UK. Some 20, how many years now? Some 22 years ago. Came to King's. Everything surprised me when I came here. I remember walking into McDonald's and feeling, what on earth are they eating here? And things like that. I just didn't know what was going on. But over the years, I excelled in my university at King's, finished my degree in record time. And because of my focus and my tenacity, I was offered a job to stay back as a lecturer at King's College London. And it was there that I began to develop, a lot of my leadership skills, which, like the previous speaker mentioned, is something that your life has prepared you for, but you're unaware of it. The fact that you've been focused, the fact that you know how to organize and look for opportunities, the fact that you're able to help others to see exactly where they need to be, And then as I continued in my role at King's College, my senior, my head of department, who, by the way, she wrote a book. All the books that I read in Nigeria, when I got to King's, I met the people who had written them. All the books I was reading in Nigeria, my head of department had written the book I was reading on electrotherapy. The guy that I bumped into in the corridor was the person who wrote the book on clinical anatomy. I could literally worship the floor on which they were treading on. But as I continued in that environment, it began to solidify in me that I've developed all that I need to do to become a leader just like them. That I have the experience, I have the knowledge, I have the understanding to become a great leader as well. And when my head of department, they was retiring, they were looking for somebody who would lead the department. And lo and behold, I put myself forward for it. And I was chosen to lead the course at King's College London, then the physiotherapy course. And I did that for many years. Did lots of things. There's so many things in the university that I've had an opportunity to lead at one point or the other. And now, after that, I got to a point in my career that I just wanted something different. I wanted something different. King's educate a certain set of students, but I wanted people that looked a bit more, that had some of the experiences that I'd gone through, that I can impact the kind of education that I've helped to develop at King's somewhere else. And when the opportunity came to come and work at London Med Presenters, I said, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Something that's different, something that could make a much more lasting impact on a lot of people. And lo and behold, I came here, and it's been fantastic so far. But what I want to just drop before I go and sit down are some of the things that I've learned along the way. And the first point that I want to say here is the power of information. Information is one of the most important things that you need to be aware of what's going on around you, what's going on in your world, what's going on, what are the opportunities that are out there. How did I get my King's the scholarship? It was because where I used to study in my university, I would read in the library, and there are massive books of all the universities in the world in those places, about all the universities, the Commonwealth universities. And when I'm bored, with study, you get to a point where you're bored with what you're reading. And then I'll start flipping all those universities and see, so there's a university here, there's a university here. And that was there and then that I found out that there are universities outside the country that offers great scholarships for PhD. So the first thing in developing yourself is finding information about where you need to go. The second thing I'm going to say is that life prepares you for whatever you're going to face. You will have come across everything that you've gone through in life has given you the ingredient that you need to solve the next problem that you're going to face. There's a popular saying, I don't know whether you're familiar with it, that says, the mind that conceives a problem has the solution to it. If you can see a problem, you have what it takes to solve it. So how can you see a problem? It's because your experiences has opened your eye to see that that's a problem. And because you can see it's a problem, within you also lies the solution to those problems. And that leads me to the third point, which is authenticity. It was mentioned at the last person mentioned it. Our life experiences gives us authenticity. When I was at King's, one of the things that I realized is the higher I went, the less like me, the less people like me that I saw. I go to lots of meetings nationally, and then I walk into the room and they're like, is he carrying the bag for somebody else, or is it him that's supposed to come there? I mean, they don't say that to you, but of course you can read it on the faces. But I realized that by the time I sat down, by the time I'm sitting down there to discuss, I don't have to echo what people say. I only have to echo or say what's coming from the way I see the problem. I'm in a room to give my view on whatever situation that's being discussed. So you out there listening to this, one of the things I'm going to say to you is you have within you what that problem requires. And as long as you keep focusing on what you've got within you, you'll be that authentic person that will be able to bring a flavor of what you have gone through to solve the problem that you face on a day-by-day basis. So thanks for inviting me to share my experiences. It's great talking about it.
That was very inspiring. Okay, so we've got 15 more minutes. Our next talk is from Awesome, our president for the Student Union.
If you guys don't clap, I'll clap for myself. Actually, I didn't want to talk, but you sort of inspired me to say something. I'm from Nigeria, and growing up, as he said, growing up as a Nigerian, you sort of are built with that spirit of resilience. They tell you the only way you succeed in life is through education. That's why you see so many Nigerians. They are highly intelligent people. They go to school because the only way they see to succeed is through education. So growing up, my mom, she's always, really been particular about going to school, coming out with good grades and just excelling. And I found out that throughout my years in school, I'm not really a good school person. I don't like reading and all of that. But just because you are being told you have to read and succeed and pass your exams, you have to do that to succeed. So when it comes to exams, I could have exams tomorrow, read tonight, and just read to pass. And after I'm done with the exams, that's it. Whatever knowledge I learned is gone. Then over the years, I began when I go to the university, secondary school. I wanted to be an accountant, and I found out I was terrible at mathematics and accounting. I hated numbers and all of that. So I did my first exam in accounting, and I had F is terrible. If there's anything more than F as a failure, it was evident. I failed it comfortably, and I just knew there and then that was in my line. Then I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do economics. Then I realized economics also has to do with a lot of mathematics. So I'm like, okay, no, I cannot do that. Then I went on for political science, which is not that hard. You just read, know international politics, and pass. I did all of that, passed. Then when I was in university, I used to be a very shy person throughout the years, but when I got to the university, I wanted to change. So I was always, open to meeting people, talking to people, learning, meeting people, and all of that, which actually really helped me. Then the opportunity to become the social director at the time for the school came up. Then I went up, I applied for it. Then they did the elections, and I won. And I think that was my first step being in a leadership position. And throughout that time, I used that position to build myself, learn about what people need and how you can be there for people. And throughout that time, I discovered personally that I had the knack to help people, listen to people, because when I left that position, I'd made a whole lot of network of people that when they need things, they just sort of say, talk to Awesome. He knows, I'm that guy that knows someone that if probably you need something, just come to me. I know someone that would provide that thing for you. So whenever they need anything, they just say, talk to him. He's going to find something for you. So I discovered that I had people skills. I was very good with people. So I had a lot of people around me that wanted to be my friends, and which actually made it very easy for me to get information, like you said. So whenever I want to do something personally, I just reach out to people, and I just get things I just get whatever I need very easily for me. Then I did that over the years. I was working on radio, I was working on TV, and I just sort of grew my network. People knew a lot of people, got information till I came to the UK. And when I got to the UK, before I got to the UK, I knew it was going to be quite difficult, transitioning from your country to the UK. But since I've been in the UK, going 2 years now, I have never had a day that I'd regretted coming to the UK. Why? People. I hear a lot of people saying how terrible it is, bad experiences, but luckily for me, I've not had any bad experience because of the people I have around me, because I always try as much as possible to be there for people, and somehow, without even asking that in return, you just, get that positivity around you at the end of the day. Then that led me to being here, did my master's. I just wanted to do my master's and, get a job and live my life. But the opportunity to become a leader, the student union president, came. Before that, I was the course rep for my cohort, because even before I became the course rep, I found I was helping people in my department from different countries of the world, learning new languages, just talking to people, meeting them and, helping them with their models and all of that. Then the opportunity to become the student union president came. Applied a night before. I didn't want to apply, but one of my friends was like, oh, come on, just do it. And I did it. And I'm now the president of the London Metropolitan Student Union. And all of these experiences just sort of gave me the idea or knowledge that, one, being attentive to information, one, two, being there for people just sort of automatically helps you throughout your career. And it is really very important not to take all these resources, all these people for granted, because you never know when you're going to need those contacts. That's why I cherish making friends from all over the world. That's why I cherish meeting people. I enjoy meeting people, talking to people, and sharing knowledge and information. So, yeah, I think that's my own little leadership journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, awesome. That was amazing. That was awesome, shall I say? And last but not least, we have our Vice President, Activities and Opportunities, Manpreet Kaur.
So, first of all, it was really inspiring to listen to your amazing leadership journeys. And my story is similar in a way, but it's also different. And as I stand before you today to share some of my unique experiences that formulated my leadership skills, and I'm still evolving and learning. And to define my journey in few words, I would say my journey has been about resilience, dedication, and unwavering commitment to thrive and achieve success. I commenced my career in the dynamic world of international student recruitment in year 2015. And through this experience, I cultivated a profound understanding of global connections and the importance of cultural diversity. My passion for learning and fostering connections led me to achieve the position of assistant manager in international affairs with one of the leading higher education college in North India. And later, it allowed me to broaden my understanding about career pathway opportunities for students, how they can get into semester exchange, academic exchange, staff exchange programs to expand their learning opportunities. And in that position, I realized that this is not something that I'm limited to do, because the opportunity to grow in Indian higher education sector was quite limited for me. So I decided if if I can help students to go abroad and do their higher education, I can do that for myself as well. Why not to explore my boundaries and see where I can go? So that's how I decided to take an integral step at that point in my career to do a master's degree. And I decided to move to UK to pursue an MBA. It was not just for my career progression, but also to set an identity for myself and to set an example for others in my society. As coming from a very conservative Indian family, it's very hard for girls to come out and do something when they are in their late 30s or in their 30s, because that's the age where your parents, your family expect you to settle down, have children, have a family, and that's your life. But for me, I wasn't thinking of myself to do that. I knew that I had the potential to grow and evolve and build upon my skills. So that's how I transitioned. I came to UK and I did my MBA. Despite the challenges of adapting to a new environment, I was determined to shine through, and I graduated last summer with distinction. But that was not where my journey culminates. My leadership journey took an inspiring turn when I got elected as Vice President for Activities and Opportunities for London Met Student Union. And this position is not just a title, it's a reflection of trust and confidence that students of London Met had in my leadership abilities. As an elected officer, I got an opportunity to lead change, represent student voice at key university committees, and create an environment that feels inclusive and welcoming for everyone who is part of London Met. I got a chance to share graduation stage with most elite members of our academic community at the graduation ceremony as a lead representative for GSPL, not just one, but twice in last 6 months. And this experience further uplifted my confidence and made me believe that I'm capable of the incapable, things that I'd never imagined I could do. Now, when I reflect upon my leadership journey, I can say that it was not just about personal success. It's a testament to do what I want to do, power of perseverance, resilience, and the ability to lead my experiences and to believe in what I can do and to inspire people that if I can do this, you can do this too. And the success that I've achieved at London Met made me inspire people of my society. The example that I wanted to set, this university has given me that platform to set the example and let the girls strive for greatness, to embrace challenges and opportunities, and lead with integrity and passion. And as I finished talking, I just wanted to remind us all that with hard work, determination, and clear vision, each one of us can crave a path towards success and make a meaningful impact in our communities. Thank you.
I just want to say all of your talks today were absolutely amazing, and thank you so much. I hope we've all learned something today and we feel inspired by these talks. And thank you all for coming. And you are all leaders, okay?